Hi, Jenny. How are you?
That was kind of some crazy tech stuff.
Endeavor to persevere.
Indeed. I'm so excited to finally speak to you because you just happened to be Author Accelerator's 100th certified coach, and we were waiting for this person. We didn't know who was going to be or what the moment was, and it just is so fun that it's you, and that's why we get to chat.
No pressure.
I know, right? No, it's just a remarkable milestone that we're thrilled about, and I'm just thrilled to hear your story and what brought you to this and all the things. So I just want to dig in.
Thanks.
So tell me how you came to book coaching, because you have an unusual background for a book coach, I think, right?
Well, yeah, I was in medicine for a long time. Definitely not the right story for me. But I heard about book coaching through Mom Writes.
Okay.
About 5 years ago, I think. I wanted to write a novel, and I was trying to figure out, because I come from a very linear educational background. Very repressed creative spirit. In my mid 30s, figured that if I wanted to do this, now is the time. And I was listening to 5,000 podcasts, right? And I stumbled across Mom Writes, and it was like, wait a minute. So there's a way for me to learn how to write a novel that doesn't involve going for an MFA or like taking 5 million creative writing classes and trying to figure it all out. And so basically I stalked you after that.
Fair. That's fair.
And then I applied for the Author Accelerator match to match me with a coach. And I wound up working kind of a roundabout way, working with Dawn Ias.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so we worked together for quite a few months, and she met me right where I was. She's so kind. And I knew nothing, like, point of view, what? I knew nothing. And she taught me the basics and got me started, and I loved it. And I love story. And yeah, I just decided that this was the right story for me. This was the thing I wanted to do. I've always been a coach, like, in my heart. That's what I loved about working with my patients as a physician assistant.
What did you do in medicine? What was your work?
Still am, but physician assistant. I work primarily in family medicine, internal medicine, and later sleep medicine.
So you must have trained for a long time for that career and put a ton of work into that career.
I did. I did. Yes, I did.
And was that a thing you had thought about as a child, or was that a thing that you thought about during school? Like, I need a practical thing.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a storyteller.
Oh,
I did. And that kind of got tamped down. And I went to school for not knowing really what else was out there. And pursued a career that was economically sound. I also have a degree in economics.
Wow.
So medicine is economically sound. And I enjoyed it, and I'm good at it. But I really like the people aspect. That is my favorite part of it. And there's a lot of red tape in medicine, and you cannot spend the time. Unless you're in a concierge service or something like that, the days are gone of really being able to spend quality time with patients, unfortunately. So.
Wow. So yeah, you came from some very linear, very not creative areas. And so what I want to go back to, you're working with Dawn, who was one of our early certified coaches. what happened to that book, to that novel? Did you finish?
Yes, I did. And actually, I just worked with one of our fiction coaches in training with the practicum for it to pitch it.
Oh, that's amazing. So, for people listening who might not know, a lot of our coaches put their own work forward for other coaches to use as practice. So it's this kind of circle of awesome, and it's great for the students because they get to coach a coach, and it's great for the coaches because you're getting quality, feedback and training at no cost. I always liken it to back in the day there were these Vidal Sassoon hair salons where you could get a student haircut for $5, and they were like these great hair, really fancy. It was kind of like the first fancy salon brand, and it was always like a big to do that you could go to that. And I
Right.
feel like it's like that where somebody's getting really good training and you get the $5 haircut. But well, congratulations. That's a great place
Thanks.
to be. So while you're doing this work on this book, you decide actually this is the thing I want to be and to do, and you sign up to be trained as a book coach. So I mean, you were an economics major, you were in medicine. What did you ever take an English class?
Oh yeah, I took some English. Yes.
Or a
I
writing class or anything like that?
didn't take any writing classes. No. No.
Wow. Okay, so that's fascinating. So you're in the training program, and what did it feel like? Was it overwhelming, or was it like, I mean, I'm super curious because I think of myself as a very linear thinker in the creative space. Did you find comfort in that, or are you like, oh, no, Jenny, you don't know what linear is?
No. So I think, I had kind of gone through a process of unlearning a lot of false beliefs about myself.
Mm.
That I believed that I was not creative, that I didn't have a creative bone in my body. I would tell you that till I was blue in the face. And when I pursued writing my own novel, I blew that out of the water. And I'm the type of person, when I put my mind to something, I'm going to do it. And I had written 50,000 words by the time I had met with Dawn. And I was going to write however long it took to finish the book. And I knew what I was writing was not anything close to the books that I loved on my shelf. And I'm a big reader. So anyway, so I knew I needed guidance. So when I figured out that this is what I wanted to do, that I wanted to help other people that were like me, that once were creatively repressed and had a story to tell, when I figured that piece out and I applied for the program, I loved that the program was linear. It served me well, because if you give me steps 1 through 10 or ABC, I am very diligent and I can follow that perfectly. So I loved that part. And it's just like this beautiful marriage between creativity in a container that is comfy, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Okay.
Totally. I feel like that encapsulates what writing is actually. We're looking for a container to hold a story or an idea. Like we're looking for the shape or the edges. The more I do this, the more I think that's what it is. And that too often the way we teach writing is ignores the structural architectural piece of it and focuses too much on the craft or the emotion piece. So I totally hear what you're saying. Now I'm curious, the program requires for certification that you do these 3 practicums where you actually are working with clients and helping them, what characterizes a book coach is that we're moving people through the process. We don't just come in like an editor and work on something and go away. We're moving through it. And so the practicums are designed to give you a taste of that and practice of that. What was that like for doing like that first blueprint? Were you freaked out, or was it like, oh no, I got this. This is like working with a patient. Like, what was that like?
So I did the blueprint myself first. So I had the experience to be able to facilitate it. You know, so I was comfortable. So I did it all for my own novel first, even though the novel was written. And then the process was very much, I mean, there's a lot of, in coaching, I feel like there's a lot of just holding emotional space for people. And being able to deliver information in a way that they can relate to. So you can't just put, I mean, the same in medicine when you work with patients, you can't just put something out there you have to mold it and shape it so that they can understand it, you know, and that it is relatable to them. And I think that that's just human communication, right?
Yeah.
that's just talking to people. So I found a lot of similarities on the calls, especially like on the practicum calls, like when you're talking to somebody, you want to know where they're coming from and what their level of understanding is and where their questions are arising from. And so my background in interviewing patients helps with that, if that answers your question.
So interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to me, the relationship between, there's the written feedback that we give to people, but then when you get on a call with someone, or we're never face to face, it's Zoom screen to screen, but when you're dealing with that actual human, I always find deeper things come out and more things come out, and there's things that I realize I totally missed in the written work, or they'll say something and I'll be like, oh, that changes everything. Forget everything I wrote. Now we've got to do, like, if there's just layers, and the only way to see those or get to those is by having conversation, right?
Yeah. All of the practicums were they were not easy. They were not easy on any level. They challenged me. You know, they challenged me intellectually. They challenged me on a personal level. And it was hard. It was hard. But all growing experiences are. If you're going to grow and it's easy, it's not. You're not growing.
So what was it like particularly? Okay, so we talked about the first practicum, which is the blueprint, and the second practicum, which is a manuscript review. Now here you are having to analyze this full manuscript, this full story. Certainly it's the first time you've ever done that, I imagine. What particularly was hard about that? Did it take you forever?
It did. It did. It did. It took me forever. I gave myself 6 weeks to do it. And I finished reading everything within, 4 weeks. And then I used that last 2 weeks to go back through it and determine how I wanted to deliver the feedback. It was very overwhelming. I was terrified that I was going to harm someone. I felt like this responsibility.
Do no harm, right?
Yes, that I, and a lot of who am I to make these statements that this, so I had to lean a lot on just the practical tools that, that we have through the certification process, the hierarchy of editorial concerns, and just going back to the basics, right? I think the hardest part, honestly, Jenny, the hardest part is just believing that I belong in the space, that I've done the work, and that, I can step up and do this. That is truly the hardest part. It's getting out of my own way.
I mean, I hate to say this, but that doesn't ever go away. I still feel that all the time, or, nervous that I'm gonna stomp on a fragile idea, or that that I don't deserve to be in this space speaking to this person about this thing. I mean, that never goes away. But how did you feel when you were actually speaking to that practicum client? Did you feel like, oh, I'm helping them, or did that persist through the call?
So yeah, no, I did feel like I was helping them. And to just back it up, I actually repeated my first practicum because I
Mm.
didn't feel like I had done the best that I could do. So I repeated that first practicum, and I kind of had I don't know, I just got to evaluate the way I listened to the call that I did with the first practicum, and then I just repeated it. So I developed kind of a system of how I wanted to go about delivering feedback from that. And that really helped. Also, talking to other coaches in the community that had done it. The network that Author Accelerator has is the membership community. I guess is in the circle is really important.
Did you tell people like, I'm freaking out?
Oh yes, 100%. Like 100%. There were tears. There were all of that. Absolutely, absolutely. And the community is so supportive and receptive, and a lot of people, were just stepped up and commiserated or shared how scared they were and how well it worked out and those kind of things. So it was great. Once on that second practicum call, I felt a lot more confident. And the other thing I did in November, I offered free 30-minute coaching calls to any writer in NaNoWriMo.
Oh, wow.
To do it, just to talk to writers and see what kind of problems they were struggling with. And because I've done NaNoWriMo twice, and anyway, so I did that. And so I'd had some experience now talking to people over Zoom. And so that helped me too, kind of with the framework.
What a great idea. What a great idea.
It was really fun. And I'm going to do it again this November too. Cause it's just fun. It's just fun.
Isn't it remarkable how much you can help someone in such a short period of time? Like, you can help someone you've never met about a story you've never seen in a super short period of time. If you know what to ask or what to, you begin to see the patterns that writers get wrong, you can actually really do a lot of help in a short period of time. I hope you found that.
And you don't have to know a ton about their story. You really don't.
It's true. It's true. Okay, so then I want to talk about the third practicum. So the third practicum is marketplace focused, looking at agents, talking to somebody about pitching their work into the world. Was that, I feel like that's a world you didn't know. It's new to you. You didn't study it. You didn't grow up in it, or what have you. Was that the scariest practicum?
No, actually, it was a really fun practicum.
Wow.
It was, I think the second practicum was probably, the first one that I feel like I bonked. That was really terrifying. The second one was probably the most overwhelming and scary. But the third practicum was really fun because I loved the research process, and I was really surprised that I did. And I'd also done part of that process for my own novel. So I was kind of used to looking at the manuscript wish lists and the publisher's marketplace and that kind of stuff, thinking about where to place mine. It was really fascinating learning all the tools for the query and the synopsis. And I landed just with a fabulous writer who had a fantastic book that I loved, that I absolutely loved. And she, within 4 days of her pitching to the top 5, she got a full manuscript request.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it was so amazing. And I just can't wait to see where things land for her.
Is that still playing out?
Yeah, still playing out.
So that piece of it, I think, surprises people. And by that piece, I mean the joy that you feel for when good things happen to your writers, I feel is equivalent to the joy you feel for your own self. Like it's such a thrill to help someone, right?
Yeah. And I think also like it's with thrill comes the risk of fall too.
Totally.
Because when they fall, I know like I'm as invested in it as they are. If that
Totally.
makes sense.
I just started working with a new client. Well, she's not a new client. I helped her write a book before. It's her second book, but we just started, and I have this, it's a great story. She's a great writer. We have a great relationship, but I have this just sinking feeling. I just got off the phone with her before getting on with you, and I have this sinking feeling like, oh, we have to go through the whole thing and it's going to be so hard, and like, are you going to get what you want at the end, or is there going to be total disappointment? Like, I just had this kind of wave of like, this is horrible and nobody should do it. you know like the risks are just too high, and I shouldn't do it because the burden is too much of carrying that hope. And like, I did have that wave of dread, and then the wave sort of goes out, and it's like, well, that's just what it is. That's just what it
But when
is
you care about stuff, when you care and you're passionate, you're going to sign up for an emotional roller coaster. So setting your expectations up at the beginning
yeah.
of it is helpful. But it's just hard. Some things are just hard.
Yeah, so true. It's so true. Um, so then you got certified. Yay! And you
Yay!
found out that you are a 100th certified coach. Um, and what was that feeling like?
Well, it was of course amazing, and I cried because this is what I really want, and it was like validation because I've completely left my job, my physician assistant job. I left medicine. I'm done.
When did you do that?
January 27th. I put in my notice. I gave my 90-day notice, and in October, and I just had decided that this is what I wanted to do. And so I worked really hard to finish my certification before I left.
Wow.
And yeah, so I've been full-time. Well, I have a 5-year-old daughter, and my goal is to just work while she's in school.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to figure out summer, but now I get to take her to school, and I get to pick her up and take her to dance. And that's really, really important to me because, in medicine, it's you're there until you're there until you're there.
Wow. And so now you've got to build a book coaching business. And is that part scary, or do you feel like, no, I've been in business, I'm an economics major, I got this? Like, are those things comfortable to you?
No, there is nothing comfortable about about entrepreneurship. Nothing that I have found, not one single thing.
Well, it's interesting because I actually have come to believe that the story or the journey of being an entrepreneur and running your own book coaching business has so many elements that are the same as being a writer. Like the things that we just talked about, just the fact of putting yourself out there, the fact of choosing, like a writer has to choose a story, you have to choose a genre, you have to choose a structure, you're always having to choose. And same with running a business, you have to choose who you're going to serve, you're going to have to choose how you're going to serve them, and then putting a price on it is kind of akin to, I want my book to be in the marketplace, I want it to be bought and sold, I want it to be a commodity, is basically what you're saying. So what's interesting is I think the experience of running your own business makes you puts you in really good shape to help a writer because they're starting a business too. They just don't think so.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, especially in today's publishing climate. I think we're really positioned to help writers look at their writing in that way more so than ever before.
So who's your ideal client? Who do you think you would love to serve?
Oh, so first-time novelists that kind of are older in life, middle of life, and are just coming into kind of deciding that their creativity is worth something and they want to try it out. That's who I want to serve.
And what will you do for them? Where in the process will you serve them?
Well, I think, at any stage of the process, whether they're drafting or revising, or they have a completed novel and they're not quite sure what to do, whether they want to go independent or they want to look at hybrid or they want to look at a traditional. So I'm currently teaching a writer's workshop in
Nice.
2 weeks. My first I've taught it before. I taught it to another women's writing community, and now I've opened it up and I'm teaching it, called The Story Before the Story. And it's about using backstory to craft emotionally compelling characters, because that's one of my favorite things.
Amazing.
And then I hope to be able to launch, besides my one-on-one coaching, I want to be able to offer some group coaching classes on drafting and revision. And I definitely see some nonfiction books in my future about those. So
nice.
And a podcast.
Nice. Have you thought
So
about,
I got plans. I just gotta,
Have you thought about pitching your services to, I'm just thinking, the medical community? Like, how many people that work in that community secretly want to write a novel? I feel like they all do.
I don't know. I had not thought about that before. One of the things that this really challenges me to do is look at my networking. And I have never been good about that. I've not been, I was kind of raised in the, like, you keep your mouth shut and you just bootstrap it and do it all yourself. And that's a limiting belief of mine, that I have to break through and work through. So I need to look into the medical community and see, because I'm sure there's others that are like me that, that they're not necessarily as linear as they want everybody to believe.
Well, I just think that part of your story is really compelling, that you didn't think you were creative. You didn't think you could do this. You didn't think you had, that's a story that you were telling yourself. And it also makes me think of another coach of ours, Ruth. I'm blanking on her name, her last name right now, but
Ruth, the lawyer?
yeah, she uses two last names.
I can't remember it either.
Yeah. But in the beginning, she built her business by helping other lawyers who wanted to write, because that was her experience as well. And she knew that they were ashamed about that. Like, they were embarrassed that they wanted to write novels. And so she's like, I got you. I'll help you. Isn't that great? I know.
No, that's true.
So I don't know, that just occurred to me, but I know you will find your way. And what incredible motivation to be home with your kid and do work you love. It just sounds like a win-win-win if you can make it work, right?
Oh, I will.
I have no doubt. I love it. So have you set goals or deadlines or plans, or are you like, how are you organizing your efforts?
My business?
Yeah.
So, I'm currently working, I have 3 clients. So I don't want a big one-on-one, I like very high touch. So first is just, really solidify the one-on-ones. I have one more spot, and then open the group coaching doors And then after that, keep working on my own novels and start writing, my nonfiction.
How did you get the first 3 clients?
So I created several different writing communities over the last 2 years, I guess. And I've been they're just people that I have written with, and they've known what I've been up to. And so one of them came from there. Another was just actually, it's a mom I met at a soccer thing with my daughter.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I did something called Client Surge, which was a sales course. A couple of other book coaches have done it as well.
Yeah.
They recommended to me, and I got a client out of that.
Nice.
Yeah, so
nice.
But I'm a bit flailing, I'm not quite sure. I don't have it all figured out. I'm kind of throwing stuff out there and seeing what sticks. So I will definitely be looking into the mastermind. So I've got to get through the first 3 books, but yeah, so I'm just doing what I can do for now.
Yay. Well, we're so excited for you, and what a great story you have. And we'll be here to support you and cheer you on your way. So thank you for sharing your story with me and with us, and just for being such a cheerful and enthusiastic advocate of book coaching. I love the stories of people who come from just, I don't know, unusual places. It's awesome. I love it. Very inspiring.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Well, so are you. And I so appreciate Author Accelerator. I really do. You guys have given me a whole new career, and a way to the thing that speaks to my heart.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And I'm sure